Hi friends, this is the story of the spreads that almost weren't. Basically, I started this video and I was like, yeah, I really need to catch up on my bullet journal spreads for my review, stuff like that. And then I had to go help with groceries. My iPad's storage was full, so like halfway through my infinity particle spread, it just cuts off like entirely, which is really unfortunate because I really like what I did. And then Stitch wanted to be in every moment of it. He's currently next to me as I'm filming this voiceover, because this is his channel and we are just here for it. But we're starting off with Bend Toward the Sun by Jen Devon, which is just a phenomenal romance about a botany postdoc, almost. I think that's the right term for it. And a wine, what would you call that? Like a vineyard. I don't remember if he owns it, manages it, is the business guy for it, whatever. But I think it's Rowan is her name, and I think his name is Harry. But it starts out with a bang. Not literally. The literal one you have to wait a very long time for. But it starts out with them playing, I think, Fugitive or Capture the Flag or something like that. And from the start, I was in. I listened to this on audio. I loved it. I think it was dual point of view. And we actually got a narration for both, so I was very happy about that. And this is one of those spreads where like I had picked the paper out so long ago, and then I just didn't. I'm hoping that, I can be posting these sort of review videos once a week. That way maybe I'll be current. Maybe. I don't know. It's currently October 7th and I've read 9 books this week, so I don't know if I'll ever be really current. But I do know that I can sort of like, I can cut down to only 5-star reads in here, and so I can also stop, putting the stars on it because they're all going to be 5-star reads. But this is a slow burn romance. It is so slow, so burny, but I really, really enjoyed it. Another romance. They're not all romances, I promise. I promise you that. We're finally going to talk about the whale book. But another romance that I read this back in June. It's Better Hate Than Never by Chloe Lisa. And it's so good. It's the second book in her Wilmot Sisters series, and this one is based off of The Taming of the Shrew by Shakespeare. The first one was Much Ado About Nothing, I think. I'm pretty sure that's the one. And we don't know what the third one's gonna be yet. But it seems like Romeo and Juliet would make the most sense because the character's name is Jules. But we still don't know. It's up for debate. So this focuses on Kat and Christopher. And they have been like enemies since they were little. And now she gets back from a trip and he realizes that she's really hot. But they realize that they do have this sort of burgeoning attraction towards each other. And it starts when someone tells him that he needs to be nicer to her. And he didn't realize how, much of a big old shit he was being. But it's steamy. There is ADHD and chronic migraine rep, which we love. Gil has chronic migraines, and I can see how much it affects his life on a daily basis. It's really honestly just awful. But it's just really nice going back into the world of the Wilmots because there's the paper store. Like, the main character from the first one, Beatrice, she helps at this like stationery store, and I just want to live there. Like, that's how Chloe's books are, that she just creates these worlds where like there's so much representation and everything is great, and it's just as if anyone could not want you, right? As if anyone could not want to read Better Hate Than Never. Honestly, it's so good. But I don't know when book 3 comes out, and I need it. I need it so, so bad. Next is another audiobook. This is New Adult by Timothy Janowski. And this one's kind of funny in that, like, it is, I feel like, for a new adult audience, but at the same time, you have that sort of 13 going on 30, like, all of a sudden you are a whole ass adult sort of thing happening. So you get sort of the double reference with that. And I honestly don't remember both of the characters' names, but there's this aspiring comic who essentially misses his sister's wedding for a show so he can do his first like real big gig, and he makes it, right? But obviously he completely antagonizes his family, and he essentially goes to bed with these crystals under his pillow and does that 13 going on 30 wish, like, you know, like, I wish I was older, I wish that I was successful sort of stuff. And then he wakes up and he is a burnt out rich comic, can't find his best friend Drew, who is like the sweetest little man. And he has to rectify all of the mistakes that past him made, and he also is trying to get back to his timeline, right? And it's wonderful. There's crystals, there's fortune tellers, there's the business that his sister works for is called Goop. It's like Goop. It's just really fun. It's really sweet. It's so like belovedly queer, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. I'm also still sort of in this mode where I'm trying to replicate the typeface in my little titles, and sometimes in the quotes, it depends. So here, I don't think I did the best job. I was getting a little impatient just because there were so many interruptions, and like I had to lock Stitch out of the room. He just really wanted to be on my desk, right in the middle of the desk, and no other activities could happen during that time. So you'll also note that I'm making a lot of use of some like scrapbooking paper and my Archer and Olive calligraphs. I love that with the calligraphs you have 2 ends because you can get the same color just in dual ends. And then the quote from this book, which is like the most important theme of it all, is that it's never too late to change or to make a change, right? I feel like often we're like, oh, well, you know, I'm never gonna be a runner. And you're like, well, you know, do you want to be more active, right? Do you want to go for walks? Do you want to, you know, work towards that goal, right? Versus just, nah, meh. And then we have The Infinity Particle by Wendy Xu. I'm not pronouncing that right. I'll look it up later. This is a graphic novel, and she was behind Mooncakes. And so this is about, I think they live on Mars, or at least some other planet that's not Earth. And it has to do with artificial intelligence and like the ethicalness of it, especially if you're developing sentience. And there's a little bit of a love story between a girl and an AI, and it's really precious, honestly. I also did the thing where I start replicating the typeface for the cover, but then it got cut off because because my iPad storage was full, and I honestly thought that I had lost the entire video and I was just gonna have to like keel over and die or something. There's also a lot of themes in this one about like botany and growth and stuff like that. There's a subtle like infinity sign that she makes in the title that you can kind of see. I'm not doing like the best job of drawing it, but obviously she did a better job, so I added some flourishes to like make it abundantly clear that it was an infinity. And then like there's the that kind of goes up and around, and you can't see it, but you'll check it out in the flip through. Penultimately, now we're into my Aquatic Creatures era. So it's whale fall. It's this book. I was calling it my whale book. It's about a guy who goes diving to like collect or to bury his father's remains after his father committed suicide. And he gets sucked into a whale. So he's literally like inside of a whale's stomach and other bits for the entire book basically, and he's running out of oxygen and he's contemplating life and just like everything that he's done, and it's super intense. It's really short, but like you're there like until the last, I think, couple of seconds of the book. Like it's not a happily ever after where like you get an epilogue and everything's great. There's a lot happening. But it is really good. It's really suspenseful. If you like the T.J. Newman books like Falling and Drowning, you'll like this one because it's very tense. But it is also, you know, it is also a whale. I don't know how accurate the stuff about scuba diving is, but it definitely made me not want to do it ever. Like maybe just never set foot in the ocean ever again. I don't know. Because Lord knows if I did, something terrible would go wrong. But the quote here is, anything could be down there, therefore everything is. They're talking about the ocean because it's just the deep, dark depths down there. And finally, we have Shark Heart. This is the literary fiction darling that has been taking Bookstagram by storm. So rather than a person getting stuck inside of a whale, here we have a guy who's literally turning into a shark. And so this is like a somewhat alternate society where these are like genetic defects and they're very common. So like a woman in here is pregnant with falcon babies. And so like it's just congenital. And you have to go through so much here because you have the perspective of the person who's turning into the shark as well as his wife. So like he's losing his humanity and she's losing her husband, and you follow them like through this entire thing. You get some other perspectives, I think, but I think you could view this as a parallel to a lot of illnesses as well, right? Because there's elements of grief and just so much, but it's really hard to read. Like, I listened to it on audiobook and I'm still not entirely confused, or I'm still not entirely sure that I really got everything out of it, but it is powerful. The cover is gorgeous. And if you want to read something different, like something you've never read before, try this one on for size. If you want something more like uplifting that also involves marine biology, then maybe go with Remarkably Bright Creatures instead. But yeah, out of these 6 books, I honestly don't know which one my favorite would be. Potentially Better Hate Than Never. which I did love, but they all are just so different. This is the main ingredient of transformation was not magic, it was pain. And it was a lot of pain. You actually can't really read the transformation thing there, so I might need to go back and fix that. Especially because I had to switch it to transforming rather than transformation. But we're trying to replicate the typeface. And I'm interested to see if you guys have read any of these books, if your thoughts differ from mine. And let's just move on to the final flip through. This is all the spreads. Take careful attention to look at the infinity particle one. I'm so upset that that got cut off. But this is slowly wrapping up my August and a little bit of September reads. I hope that you like this video. Subscribe to see more. And as always, happy planning.